Stick to it,
Welcome,
buddy.
everyone, to episode 24 of the DJ and the Heel Show with our special guest, Nick, Canadian Nick. And let's get this party started.
Woo!
What's up, Nick? How's everything going?
All good, all good. Just just out here and weather's nice. AEW had their show last night. Had a lot of weekend in wrestling.
And of
It
course, the
wasn't
man
bad.
behind the curtain is my partner, DJ.
Man behind the curtain, more like man behind the wall, the black hole. Yes, the big black hole. Call me Nia Jax's pimp over here, okay? I'm gonna change my name to that in the group chat. I'm just Nia Jax's pimp because I'm a big black hole today.
Jesus, are you in a mood today, buddy?
No, I'm in a great mood. That was a callback to the my hole thing. Do you guys not remember that?
Yes. How can we forget?
Instead of my hole, it's my big black hole.
There you go, the big black hole.
Well, we had a full weekend of wrestling that started on Saturday with Saturday night's main event. So let's get into that and get some reactions on that. So it started off with B-Fab, Jade Cargill, and Mishin against Alexa Bliss, Charlotte Flair, Rhea Ripley. The heels won when Jade pinned Rhea after 16 minutes and 48 seconds.
The shocking part is that the women went that fucking long. Let's all be honest. Everything else about this match was predictable.
The shocking part of the match was that it was good.
It was pretty good. They let them cook for 15 and a half minutes, pretty much. You know what I mean? So, like, there was nothing bad about this match, but you knew what pretty much the result was going to be as soon as they booked it. You knew that Jade and Rhea was the next match going into Italy. You knew that Jade had to get a win going into Italy, and they had to establish that faction because they haven't done jack shit since they thrown those two at Jade. And yeah, so it was you kind of knew who was winning. No one expected it to be this good or go that long. And we're representing women in the house, so I'm with it.
Yeah,
Mishin,
no, I was
go
gonna
ahead,
say,
Nick.
I was gonna say he's right. Like, and you're right too. Like when you give these women time to fucking do their shit and actually make something of themselves and not give them 2-minute matches, they can produce, right? And now the question is, how did Jade look in that match? Because it seems like she's under a bigger of a microscope than anybody else.
I thought everyone looked good in the match. I didn't pick up any mistakes during the 6-women tag. Even B-Fab looked okay. Mishin is arguably very underrated. But we've known Mia Yim for a while, has been, been real good, especially when she was in TNA and stuff. So, she was doing like the bump. She was being the bump machine for the match.
Okay.
But she hit Jade on Jade hit Jade on Rhea, and pinned her, which is basically booking 101 because Rhea's not dropping that title in Italy. So you got to give the heel the heat going into the pay-per-view or the PLE.
Yeah, Rhea's one of the
Fair
few
point.
global superstars WWE has on that roster. When I mean global, I mean no matter where she goes, she's fucking over. Like, it's not like Brett where he was a heel everywhere and then in Canada he was a babyface type of deal. No, like, she is over no matter where she goes. She has global name recognition. She is a star. She is one of the few, like, if there's like levels to this shit, she's one of the few people at that top Roman Reigns, John Cena, The Rock kind of fucking level. I think a lot of people underestimate and underappreciate what we have with Rhea Ripley while we got her. Because she's only 28 years old, too. That's the thing, too. It's not like she's fucking 33 going around the bend. No, she's 28. She's barely hit her fucking prime.
Yeah.
That's why I find it funny when people are like, "Oh, she's got to put over someone younger." Like, she's not even 30.
Yeah, I mean, she definitely she's one of the names, right? Like WWE has their core names that people they pay money to see, and she's one of them.
I wouldn't even say she's a WWE name. I think Rhea Ripley at this point is again one of those few stars who's transcended the brand. If Rhea Ripley today, got into some contract dispute with WWE and jumped to AEW, that's CM Punk levels of game changer right there. You know what I mean? Like she would turn that tide for the fan base of AEW that drastically because she's Rhea fucking Ripley.
And now you would have three names in AEW that TK would book around: Tony Storm, Mercedes, and Rhea.
I
And
don't
think of
think
the dream matches over there. Her and Statlander, her and Mercedes, her and Tony.
I don't think it'll ever get to that point.
No, WWE has her down under lock and fucking key.
Uh,
She ain't going nowhere.
I
Unless
I
Buddy hypnotizes her to come over there for like a year or two
no.
run.
I
I,
think you'd see Buddy go over there before she comes here.
yeah, I was about to say I think there's a better chance of Buddy coming back to WWE than Rhea going to AEW. But I would love to see her and Tekla. I think that would be a match.
Maybe one day. Like I mean, you never say never, right? She could, and it's like you said, she could have a contract dispute. With TKO, it's definitely it's about the money and it's a business, right? So I mean, if she feels that she's not being uh given what she's worth, who knows? Maybe she does. Maybe she does take off. You know what I mean? But it's that's I don't think that'll ever happen. Or maybe when she's older, right? Like in her late 30s, winding down her career, she probably turns on and goes, "Oh, let me go try this place." Like I don't think she's a lifer.
I don't think lifer exists anymore in wrestling. There everyone thought that Edge was a lifer. Big Show was a lifer. There's these names that did jump that everyone thought would never leave WWE. So,
I
I
wouldn't
don't
say
think
that
anyone's a
because
lifer.
Cena and Orton, you can pretty much say those two are lifers. Cena definitely, Orton most likely. I don't see him doing, a over the hill run in AEW or TNA or any of the side places. I think those guys are the last generation of people who will be those, and Roman. You can't forget Roman too. Roman's never gone anywhere outside of WWE, and I don't see him leaving to go anywhere outside of WWE. He may use AEW as a bargaining chip and a bargaining tactic, as he should,
Well,
but I don't
you'd be
see.
stupid
I
not to.
see him being somewhat of a lifer.
Okay.
Yeah, that's true. But I mean, I'm just saying there were guys that we were saying would never leave, like the Edges and the Big Shows, and they jumped. So it's not that it's
And what?
out of realm
And
of possibility.
would we also count lifers as guys who went to WWE and never left? Because if we're adding that into the criteria, I would say Seth Rollins is a lifer. Yep.
Kofi, we thought would be a lifer.
Yeah. I
Same
mean,
thing with Woods.
Kofi would have qualified. Woods, no, because he had a well established run in TNA before he got to WWE.
Yeah, but he really didn't get big until WWE. So I
No.
think that's
No, that's what I'm saying. In terms of lifers, are we including only homegrown WWE names or people who went to WWE and never left until their career was over?
I mean, that's what I feel, because a lot of people say
Then
that.
by your logic, AJ Styles is a lifer. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So I feel like that criteria is kind of sketchy in terms of saying, oh, guys who went to WWE and just never left for any type of competition. I feel like
Right, but
I feel like there are some guys you can add to that criteria, like a Seth Rollins, because most of his mainstream wrestling career was WWE, NXT, and main roster. Like his time in Ring of Honor is a blip compared to his time in WWE.
And that's why I'll argue against the AJ Styles comparison, because he spent so much time and made his name in TNA. So that's why I would argue against AJ Styles being considered a WWE
No,
lifer.
I'm just
But I
saying
would,
AJ fits your prior set criteria.
but I agree with, the Seth Rollins, because, who really remembers Tyler Black? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So,
that's fair. That's fair.
but let's move on. Next match was Sol Ruka against Becky Lynch. Becky lost by DQ. This match only got 2 minutes and 26 seconds. It was more of an angle. I believe they got cut. I think the match got cut because the 6-woman tag went long. But it was basically an angle to set up the rematch for the title at Clash. I saw a lot of people get on Sol Ruka because of the soul snatcher that kind of went awry. But I'm kind of want to defend it, because
Oh
if you're
God.
going for something, let's just listen before you say, "Oh God." If you're gonna go for a move and out of your peripheral, you see the referee get in the way, you're gonna try to stop your momentum, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so to me, that's what it was more realistic in that sense, is that she saw the referee getting pulled in the way, so she stopped the attempt of the soul snatcher because she knew she was gonna hit the referee.
Uh,
So
But to set,
that's my
Go ahead,
but to
Nick.
set the, but to set the angle, she should have hit the ref. Why half-ass it? You should have just hit the ref.
It
I mean,
wasn't
she did. She ended
it,
up jump.
I was gonna say, hold on. I wouldn't say she half-assed it now. Let's pump the brakes on it there. I think it was more of she questioned herself going up because she wanted to make sure she was hitting the right person and not botching it, because she has been botching it every fucking week since she showed up on the main roster.
That
Let's
is
be
true. Yep.
honest. Let's preface this with some real context, Brandon. Like, she's
Okay.
been botching the Soul Snatcher the past few weeks. Yes or no?
She slipped, but she did hit it on her debut against Becky.
I'm saying the past few weeks she has been fucking it up. Can you at least
Yeah,
admit that?
she's been, like we said earlier, discussed earlier. She has the spotlight has got into her, and she has been
So,
messing up.
but I'm just saying to I'm trying to establish the precedent for her mindset. She's probably so worried so much in her head right now to fucking up that move that she's second guessing herself and overthinking it instead of just going with the flow, like how she should and how she's used to. And that is what's leading to all these instances. It's the one fuck up leading to another, then leading to another, then leading to another, turning into Murphy's Law. I think I definitely think Sol Ruka's been rushed. I think they pulled her up way too early because they saw blonde white girl with sex appeal, and then they saw the interview with her black dad and like, oh my God, she fits every quota we ever need ever. She's blonde, she's beautiful, she has a nice body, she's athletic, and she's part black, so she counts the minority vote too. Don't be shocked if she don't go into the Hall of Fame already.
Well, but couldn't the same be said for Kiana James?
Not
She's
really.
mixed.
I wouldn't say she
Why?
was
She's
rushed.
mixed. No, I'm
She,
talking about, the mixed angle.
Is
yes and
Kiana
no,
James
but
mixed?
Yeah, she's
yes.
mixed, and she was rushed to the main roster. I don't think she was ready for the main roster
I
either.
wouldn't I wouldn't
No.
say she was rushed. If anything, this year for Kiana James has been extremely good for her. Like, this has been the best year of her career. I think you also got
Right,
to
right.
remember she had to take a bunch of time off for injuries, for hopefully I'm not assuming the worst, but possibly cosmetic surgeries.
I mean, come on. You're not assuming. I think it's
I don't
pretty
want to say,
obvious.
listen, I'm not going to be one
Listen,
of these motherfuckers to get canceled on the internet saying, you bastard for assuming she has fake tits. Okay.
it's
I'm just,
all you need is eyes to see the before and after. That's it's
I'm just
it's not
trying to
that
be
hard to
nice here.
understand.
Okay. But like, the point I'm trying to make is at least Kiana James has performed to higher than her expectations, for one, and B, I wouldn't say she was rushed. She was brought up to the main roster ahead of time, but she wasn't like overexposed the way Sol Ruka has been. Like Sol Ruka looks like a deer in the headlights. Kiana James just looked out of place. There's definitely a
Yeah,
drastic difference in the two.
Soul definitely has to figure something out with how she is on the main roster. You know, since she's come up, she has been, you know, kind of that deer in headlights, like you're saying. So she needs to figure something out that helps her click. And I'm not talking about with the audience, she gets the reactions and stuff like that. But, you know, just to be able to click and figure it out that she's not making all these small mistakes, especially when it comes to her finisher. Because if you're not going to be able to execute that, which is an extremely flashy finisher, then you got to come up with something else.
I see, and the thing with that is she got over because of how flashy the finisher is. So it's not like she can switch that up because she's taking away from people what got her over in the first goddamn place. It's like Stone Cold taking away the stunner or the mud hole stomps. You know what I mean? It's kind of what made Stone Cold who he was. So like, I think she's at the point where she kind of has to stick with it and get better at executing it. And I know it's a tough move to have to execute perfectly every fucking time because you're flipping forward. You don't see what you're grabbing or who you're landing on. It's pretty much a guessing game once you do the fucking flip. So I, it's not really much I can say. And I think when I was on Toonie Talk Wrestling, pretty much said the right thing. She's going 100 miles an hour and she needs to slow down just a little bit. Just a little bit, just because the people she's working with ain't gonna be able to work at the rate and possibility that she can go at.
I think part of the problem also that I've always had a problem with that Soul Snatcher is it to make it really look good depends on the positioning of the opponent. And we've seen a lot of times, you know, she's executed the flip, but the opponent's like just not in the right position, and then it looks bad.
No,
So,
but
you
that's what I'm
know,
saying though. Like that's pretty much what the move is. She does the flip and everything is just hope everyone's there because I'm flipping anyways, no matter if you're there or not.
exactly. hmm Nick, you
But
still with us?
as the angle slash
Yeah,
match
yeah.
was,
Oh, okay.
sorry, as far as the angle slash match was, it was yeah. I kind of don't want to see another match with these two, but what else is Becky gonna do right now? It's like the
I
Raw's
mean,
card division for the women right now is turning into SmackDowns.
we basically put the title on Becky again because AJ was leaving. And, I think it's pretty much Becky being transitioned to put it on Sol Ruka. So, I think, obviously she's going to win the Intercontinental title on Sunday. So I wouldn't be surprised if Becky takes a little,
Jesus, Nick, are
a
you
little
okay?
no,
No, sorry, I'm in a locker room. My bad, my bad.
Is the guy using the bathroom okay? Jesus.
Yeah, everything's loud in here.
Sounded like a rocket ship shot out of his ass.
Yeah,
I
but
think Becky's going to take a little time away. And I'm just curious what they do with Sol and the Intercontinental title going forward, assuming she wins, because Becky's made that title. So
it's gonna be
I
interesting.
just hope the
They definitely have work to do.
go
You
ahead,
know what
Nick.
I mean? No, I was just gonna say they have work to do, right? Like they fall into the same kind of problem that the women in AEW had, right? So they got to figure this out and figure it out quick.
The next match we had was the WWE Intercontinental title match between Penta and Ethan Page. Went 14 minutes 22 seconds with Penta retaining. I thought this was a fantastic match. Um, you know, Ethan tried to cheat. He got caught with his own tricks, and Penta won with the Canadian Destroyer. Yes, the Canadian Destroyer is actually a finisher in WWE, not a transition move.
Mexican Destroyer in WWE. Let's get it right.
only when Penta's doing it.
Of course,
But
because he's Mexican.
Yep. But yeah, I don't think it hurt Ethan to lose. Like I said, he kind of fell into his own trap. He was basically Coyote getting hit with his own Acme anvil, and the Roadrunner got away. So, now we're on to a match tonight on Raw with Penta and Javon. And I don't think Javon's winning. I think Ethan will eventually win the title, but I didn't have a problem, and I thought it was a great match.
So I think this was Ethan's best match on the main roster. Penta was a really good opponent for him. I I think this was the best match on the show to me, at least as far as an entertainment standpoint. I couldn't really say anything bad about this match other than I don't know why they're keeping the belt on Penta for now. If I was like the longer I see Penta with that belt, the more I think of fuck Ray Phoenix. The fuck is he there for? He might be the next one out the window for all we know. Because is it really worth bringing Penta down to this point to put him in a tag team with his brother so you can get kind of the indie audience and AEW pop? Or do you keep pushing Penta as this solid upper mid carder who you can steal a pay-per-view to from if you need to? Like, I don't know. I want to see the Lucha Bros back together, but I'm starting to get to the point of why do we need it at this point? Penta obviously don't need his brother.
Especially with how the tag team division is with WWE right now. I mean, aside from the dream match with the Usos, who else is there for them to work with?
And the Vision, maybe.
It's not I wouldn't call that a dream match.
I say maybe. I want to say a dream match, but
What?
it's someone for them to work with.
What,
Right,
Vision
but
and
I'm just
Lucha
saying,
Bros?
as far Usos and Lucha Bros. If they come up, if they brought the Lucha Bros back, there was really no meat on the bone for them to like chew on. So I think you do keep them separate for now. I think you could do better with on the SmackDown roster with Phoenix, but he's in a storyline right now in AAA, so it's not like he's just sitting on the bench. He had a fantastic match on Saturday with Laredo Kid, so he is being used. Just SmackDown's just a whole different mess for a whole different conversation.
Don't say
But
good
I
things
want.
about AAA. Leo's gonna call you a hypocrite.
Oh my God!
I'm
Can we not?
not. You call me
Can
a
we not?
hypocrite. It doesn't change my opinion. AAA is on the same level in WWE as ROH is with AEW. When guys are not being used on the main roster, they're sent to AAA. When guys are not being used in AEW, they're sent to ROH. It is literally on the same level. He's trying to
No,
move
I
goalposts.
was more talking about you saying Laredo Kid and fucking what's his name, Ray Phoenix had a good match. You
I never
hypocrite.
said that there aren't good matches in AAA. I just am of the thinking that when people aren't being used, they're sent to AAA. When was the last time we saw the War Raiders on the main roster? They got destroyed
The
by Oba.
the Warren who?
The War Raiders, War Machine.
Who's that? That's the point I'm trying to
They're
make.
cousins of Butcher and the Blade.
Who?
The Viking Warriors, the Viking Raiders.
I know,
Nothing.
I know, I
The
know.
Oh, okay.
Viking Experience. Remember that
Regardless,
My whole
debut?
no.
Yeah, my
Regardless,
whole
is
point is, and this is the point that Leo never understands if he ever listens to this, is that I'm not saying that AAA doesn't have good matches. ROH has good matches, but in the way they're looked at and in the pecking order of the companies, they're on the same level in that sense.
I mean, no, no, no. According to people, our AAA is the number 2 promotion in the world, though. Shay.
See, even Nixon on the Leo joke.
Oh, dude.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm sorry. There's some people that have been associated with you boys that I look at and I laugh, and he's one of them. No offense.
I mean, I used to say the same about you, Nick, but it's
I
okay.
know,
We all love each other now.
I know, but at least with me, You know that I'm biased as shit.
Yeah,
I mean,
Anyway.
we all know.
Leo will completely deny being biased.
I didn't say it. I stopped myself.
DJ, I'm putting you on the spot.
What do you mean you put me on the spot?
Is Leo biased towards AAA?
Of course he is.
I think he's biased to
Okay.
anything not AEW, but that's
No,
my
but
2
he's
cents.
he's even worse with AAA than he is with WWE.
El
Is it?
Grande Americano is the most over wrestler in the world. Okay, globally.
And he's a Mexican icon, you
Oh
know,
God.
and Rey Mysterio is the greatest luchador of all time, even though El Santo clears him as an icon in Mexico.
I wouldn't say clears him now. Let's relax on that. Rey
Uh,
Mysterio is definitely 1B possibly to Santo.
right,
And this
but
is someone taking full wrestling context. Like, in Santo was big in Mexico. But if we're talking about who's the greatest luchador of all time, it's definitely in terms of global mass appeal. And when people globally think of luchadors, they think of Rey Mysterio way before they think of fucking Santo.
Yeah.
because of WWE, yes. But
But
was Rey
I'm talking
Mysterio's
purely, I'm talking from the historian aspect as well. When you think of luchadors worldwide and globally throughout the history of history, first name you're going to think of is Rey Mysterio Jr.
El Santo was still a bigger Mexican icon. He was starring in movies and TV shows. He got buried in his mask. I feel the fact that Rey Mysterio is so open with showing his face on social media, it kind of drops him down to the 1B as being the greatest
You don't think
luchador.
that's what I'm saying? He's 1B, it's 1A, 1B. But I wouldn't say Santo is definitely drastically more over in Mexico than Rey Mysterio. No, 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 no.
Where do we
Rey
rank
Mysterio
Bandito
not
in
only
that?
has Mexican appeal, he has global appeal. Again, when people around the world hear the word luchador, not just Mexico, around the world, they don't think of Santo. They think of Rey Mysterio Jr.
Right. But if Santo was in the WWF, into the WWF, the question is, could he have had that same appeal?
No, because Rey was a better athlete than Santo. At least I would say so.
And I'm sorry,
Yeah.
Nick, Bandito's not in this conversation.
Why not?
I'm
I
sorry.
think
No, we're getting too off track. Let's get back to reviewing Saturday Night Smash. We still
Okay.
have a whole fucking pay-per-view to review.
Okay. Then we got to the women's tag team title match. Brie Bella and Paige beat the Irresistible Forces. Nia Jax and Lash Legend, 8 minutes, 24 seconds. I had nothing to say about this match. It was there. It's what you
Yeah.
expect. Obviously, it was the weakest match of the card. And, that's all I got to say about that.
I mean, I flip-flopped a lot on this match because this was honestly a 50-50 booking match. It could have went either way. I thought, okay, they want to get the belts off of Brie and Paige just so Brie and Nikki can have their moment and they can move Paige to an intercontinental feud with Becky, because at least as far as workers on that roster, Becky's as safe as you can fucking get. So I thought they would go in that direction, but then I was like, why would you take it off the fridge and Lash just to put it back on the bitches? So and Paige has actually been healthy for the most part. Brie is Brie. So
Brie is Brie.
Listen, Brie is neither Bella is fucking a technical wrestler at all. Like, they
Yeah.
can do little bit of their significant other shit and that's it. You know what I mean? Like, Brie learned the Danielson kicks and how to do some takeovers and shit, but that's it. That's all Brie can do.
And it's crazy because you would think there'd be a little bit of a technical wrestler in her.
With who her husband is. Like, with as much as a freak and a love of wrestling that Danielson is, you'd think some of that shit would rub off on her. Nope. But
yeah,
that's neither here
right.
or there. Like I said, the match was a good match because just from a visual aspect, You got the small babyface team fighting against the two giants, the heelish giants underneath. You know, this was definitely a TV match, kind of, but I couldn't. Like I said, I've seen worse matches from Nia Jax. I think she only botched like 2 things.
So how do you get the title on Nikki?
Either Freebird rule it or do it in some type of heel fashion where you force Paige to get a partner, and that partner happens to be AJ Lee. That's how she comes back, and then you got your big next money match for SummerSlam. You have AJ
I
Lee and Paige. So hold on, just hear me out and hear how I would do it. Nikki comes back, says she's healthy. Ask Paige to please, can you relinquish the belt to me, a la Freebird rule, right? Then the Bellas turn because they need a heel turn. They ain't baby faces. Them skanky hoes are heels. So let's just let the leash off. Have them turn on Paige. Paige comes back and wants to get the belt back, but she doesn't have a partner. But there's only one person she can call that will help her out of the blue. AJ Lee. You hear light it up. Holy shit, it's AJ. And it may be a nostalgia pop, but it's one of the good nostalgia pops you'd have. And you'd have Paige and AJ versus the Bellas for the tag titles.
Yeah. Okay.
I would actually do it a little bit differently. Do you remember when Legacy won the tag titles and how that happened?
Yeah.
I would do it like that. I'd be having Nikki say, you know, she's got a partner. They're gonna win the tag titles, and then you have her turn, pin Paige, and then you put it. And then the Bellas have it, and then you could bring AJ in after
I was
at
gonna
a
say
later
either
date.
way, as long as it leads to AJ and Paige, that's all the end result I'm worried about. AJ and Paige versus the Bella, that's all the end result I'm trying to worry about getting to. I just
Yeah.
figured my way would get more heat on the Bellas, would get more sympathy on Paige, and you can build up to the big AJ return better, in a few weeks. Have them, have Paige come out the first week, be like, why did you betray me? The Bellas talk shit and probably beat her up again. Week after she's gone, then third week she comes back with the partner, then pay-per-view time.
I can see that.
And then the main event of Saturday night's main event was the Vision defeating the Street Profits for the tag titles, 16 minutes, 29 seconds. I thought this was an awesome match. I think this shows that there is still viability in WWE for tag team wrestling. And I just thought there were a lot of great visuals in this match. I mean, Braun Breaker tried to interfere. He got freaking jacked over the freaking table, announcer's
He
table.
took a hell of a fucking
That was
bump.
a big bump. That was
Yeah.
a big bump.
You know,
That's the one underrated thing in Braun Breaker's game that a lot of people don't talk about. This motherfucker can take bumps like no other human being can take. And
Yes.
it looks and it would be devastating to a normal human being, but to Braun Breaker it's fucking nothing. Like, I remember there was one time where he took a bump to the floor, going down to the floor, but he took a bump on the apron, like neck first or something, and popped right back the fuck up. Like, this guy is a freak of nature. That, like, he's I know everyone says this, but he's the fucking future of wrestling. Like, at least the future face of wrestling. He's just amazing.
and
But as
not
far
only
as the
that,
tag
but
team match,
you know, Montez is a freak too. He did an elbow drop or something off the top rope by himself, and he had such hang time. And this
I
wasn't just the splash. This wasn't the splash. There was another move he was doing, like a high elbow, and he came off the top rope, and he was up there. It felt like for freaking 5 or 6
So if you're
seconds.
hear me out on this, I want to see less of that from him because I feel like that takes a bit away from Javon with how freakishly good Montez is at it. I feel like
Really?
Javon should be the only person being allowed to get that type of height and do that type of freakishly shit. Because then you're going to start splitting the audience away from Javon and bringing it to Montez. But Montez is a tag guy and Javon is a single guy, and that's not what you're going to want to do.
But didn't
Maybe it's
Montez
just me.
but didn't Montez already have that though?
Yes, but Montez has also been on the main roster for fucking 7 years now.
Yeah, you're right.
So if he was gonna be something already, he would have fucking been something. Javon has a chance to fucking be something already. So that's the only reason I'm saying it. But again, back to the match. I'm with Brandon 100% pretty much. This was somewhat hope that WWE does have some incentive to take tag team wrestling serious again, because you had two solid tag teams go out there, main event of paper or PLE or whatever the fuck Brandon wants to call it. I call it a PLE because it's no longer on fucking television.
I
You
don't
only
feel
can
it's a
watch
PLE.
before you say anything. You can only watch it if you have a fucking subscription. If you want, if you want to say it wasn't a PLE 2 months ago, fine, but it's definitely a fucking PLE now.
So let me ask
To,
you, hold on, before we get off track, then I want to ask you, because I asked Brandon this off air, and he said, well, you can't compare the two. Could you compare Saturday night's main event to Double or Nothing?
No, I'm kind of with Brandon. You can't compare the two because
Okay.
one is pay-per-view and one is PLE. One is reliant on having people to pay to watch that shit, and the other one is reliant
Okay.
on people just having a streaming service to watch that shit.
Okay.
There's
to me,
more incentive to watch a pay-per-view from AEW than to watch Saturday night's main event. If this
Okay.
was more like Money in the Bank or like Clash in Italy, it'd be more comparable to where
Okay.
this was. I get where Brandon comes from with it, because with Saturday night's main event, they treat it like a throwaway show. But in the world of reality, it's a PLE. They should be taking it more seriously. We're not gonna sit here and give WWE a pass because they're not taking it seriously.
Okay.
my argument is that most of the time it's a week before a PLE, and they use it to set up the PLE. They did it
But
last time. They did it last time to set up a match for Randy Orton, I believe it was. Or I might be wrong with that. I think it was right before Elimination Chamber. It was like a week before, and they set up a number one contenders match. They did the
I
same thing
mean,
here with
it
Becky.
All In and All Out used to be 2 weeks apart.
yeah.
That would be my
So
reply. That's my reply to that. All In and All
yeah,
Out were 2 weeks apart.
and
We're
as
2
far
weeks
as
apart.
right, but those were pay-per-views straight out. There's no argument in that. To me, comparing uh Double or Nothing to Saturday Night's Main Event would be like comparing Money in the Bank to uh Battle for the Belts. You know what I mean? You can't compare an actual pay-per-view / PLE to a TV special. And despite the fact that it's only on streaming, it's still on NBC Peacock. It's not treated as a premium live event. It's not treated in the same way that, you get a Money in the Bank, you get a Clash in Italy. It's a quarterly event. So to me, that's a TV special. It's not a PLE. But
Okay. No, I just wanted to ask because we had that question, and then DJ just brought up the fact about the PLEs and the whatnot. So I just wanted to ask.
but that's the end of Saturday Night's Main Event. Let's get to the big show from last night. Double or Nothing from Louis Armstrong Stadium in Queens, New York. It opened
Let's
up
start. Hold on,
with
before we do matches, let's just start off with a quick letter grade on how we felt about the show. Let's try to get a general feel of how we felt about it. Nick,
Okay.
go first since you're the AEW sicko in the room.
I'm gonna give it. I'm gonna give it an A. The reason why I'm gonna give it an A is because I've told you guys before. When I watch AEW, I watch it in totality. The build, this show was great. Would have been an A+ show. The build leading up to this show wasn't that good. So for that reason, I'm gonna give it an A. There was like one or two matches I could have done without, but other than that, it was an A show.
I gave it an A minus. There were a couple of matches that took me out of the show. So that's why I kind of knocked it down just a little bit. And I'm basing it just on the actual matches, not on like little nitpick things during matches. So like the kind of like in the middle was kind of like where it kind of lost me a little bit, that I was paying more attention to my phone than the match. So, but for the most part, I thought it was a great show. So I'm going to give it an A minus.
So we're all pretty much in agreement, pretty much A around the board. I'm with Brandon on the same sentiment, and I'm giving it an A because I'm not grading the Stadium Stampede match because A, I didn't watch it because I didn't want it to ruin how I felt about the rest of the show. And that was the best thing to do. So if anyone else wants to go back and rewatch this pay-per-view and you didn't watch it ahead of time, I recommend skipping the Stadium Stampede match because it's complete and utter bullshit and it's probably waste your time and you want to live longer. So do that.
What? Whoa. Slow down. Time out. You didn't like it?
We'll get to the Stadium Stampede. You could talk about the Stadium
Okay.
Stampede and have this
Okay.
whatever discussion you want to have with me when we get there.
Okay.
But
No, I just the reason why
everything
I asked
else is matches from A to B. I gave it an A. Nothing didn't offend me. Everything made sense. All the booking decisions were actually done right and what was supposed to be fucking done. There were great surprises, great heel turns, great moments. MJF won the belt again, and everything set back into the right path. And I kind of feel back to the point of where I was 2 months ago, where I said AEW was on the upswing, AEW was restoring the feeling, and AEW can put on good wrestling shows when they have the fucking incentive to do so. So
No, you're right.
So again, I give this an A. Tony Khan should be patting himself on the fucking back. The wrestling world should be applauding AEW because they did a great show in WWE's fucking house. And that's honestly the right fucking way to make a statement. If you were trying to make a statement or want to make a statement, and Tony Khan loves making a statement. So yeah.
Well, I would pump the brakes on it. I wouldn't say TK, pat yourself on the back, you did a home run. I'd say you did good.
He
You
just
did all
did
right,
an
kid.
all-time, for as far as AEW, he just did an all-time great pay-per-view. He should be patting himself on the fucking back. There's not a handful of
Okay.
pay-per-views AEWs have put on that was better than this.
But
This is definitely top 3 at
you're
number
right.
3.
But the reason why I'm more hesitant than you is because he is always been great at pay-per-views. There might be a handful that he
Not this
hasn't.
great. Listen, I agree, but not this great.
Okay.
He's good. He's good at putting on solid pay-per-views for the people who love the work rate style of wrestling. This pay-per-view would be great for any wrestling fan on any wrestling spectrum. No matter if all you watch is WWE or all you watch is NWA or TNA or New Japan, it doesn't matter. This pay-per-view right here was the first or one of the few times Tony Khan has actually tried to appeal to all wrestling fans, and it fucking worked.
Okay. I'm shocked that I'm trying to be like, slow down. And you're like, nope, fuck it.
Yeah,
No,
we
because again,
flip roles here.
you know me, Nick. You know me. You know I'm hard to please. You know I'm a nitpick at everything, and you know I hold AEW to a certain standard. And it's pay-per-views like this is the standard I hold AEW to. If they were consistent like this all the time and didn't put on half-ass stinkers or pay-per-views that didn't have a good pacing to it, again, and let's talk about that. This pay-per-view had only 8-9 matches.
9.
That's perfect. 8 matches for AEW. That is literally perfect. I'll take 8 15 to 20 minute matches
And
with
this is
no
not counting
downtime
the
in
pre-show.
between. I could that honestly, and I didn't watch the pre-show, so that it worked out for me perfectly. I did not watch the pre-show because I wasn't watching Big Boom AJ have a fucking match again. I'm good. So
Yeah.
But
the king of the
you know what I mean?
pre-show.
On the main show, 8 matches, even though there were a lot of multi-man matches, they were, for the most part, decent multi-man matches. FTR versus Edge and Christian was possibly the second best garbage match I've seen in the past 5 years.
Okay.
All right, let's actually get into it, because that was the first match. So it was Copeland and Cage against FTR. It went 19-34. We got new tag champions as expected. There was a great match. Apparently, no blood allowed in New York.
Nope.
So
And no brawling through the crowd.
right. So have a stadium stampede in New York where you can't brawl
Listen,
in
they
the
need to
crowd.
have all their pay-per-views in New York now, though.
I know.
That's why, again, that's why this pay-per-view was so fucking good, because these restrictions were set on them, and they couldn't rely on all the dumb indie tropes that AEW is so used to relying on. They had to do actual wrestling shit for a lot of
That's
these
what I
matches.
liked about this. The fact
Go
that
ahead.
they didn't rely on the blood for every single match. And the show was still better than most of their pay-per-views.
Or you know what I mean? Or everyone wasn't just abusing fighting
But,
outside the ring. Or you know what I mean? This match was the one match where you're allowed to fight outside the ring and get hectic and get crazy and use the furniture and go balls to the wall. And the way they did it in a way to where most of the things they did made sense. And that's the issue I have with most of these garbage matches. And I always pointed out to Nick that if you're going to use these instruments, use them in ways that somewhat make sense.
Yeah.
Even the spearing Stokely through the fire table, that was the greatest callback of my childhood that I could ever think of. And I can actually appreciate AEW for pulling that off. Because for people who don't know that, it was a callback to the WrestleMania match between Edge and Mick Foley, where Edge spared Mick through the flaming table. And it was perfect that they pulled out that spot for that specific pay-per-view for when Mick Foley debuted on the fucking pre-show and was already there and did a segment with MJF. Like, that was perfect. I was with that. And Stokely being the one to take the bump, even more perfect. Let the fucking little chicken shit manager burn away.
So now did Stokely... Go ahead. No.
I was going to say, just to finish this off, this match was perfect for... it exceeded my expectations because I went in with very little. And Edge and Christian as new fucking tag team champs, I don't hate it, especially with the style of everything that... And they paid off Beth, which was kind of predictable, but at least they paid it off in the right way. So, new tag champs, FTR knows how to put on a fucking great match with anybody, and I give this 4.5 stars.
So now, I'm going to ask the question, did Stokely get lit on fire, or was it a result of going through the table?
It was a result of going through the table.
Yeah, his jumpsuit got caught on fire, but it was from going through the table.
I'm fucking with you guys.
No. Nick's just fucking with me from it's a callback from one of our old arguments.
Oh,
yeah, that was when Darby flew off the top, and he got It's okay. Go back and watch old Rock and Ropes episodes.
When Darby lit himself on fire and went through the tables, and Nick was like,
God,
"No, he didn't light himself on fire."
That's enough out of you. Yeah, no, this match was really good. They really, everything made sense, like you said, right? Everything flowed, even the spots, like everything made sense. And this is what happens.
I was gonna say, it's not that everything that made sense, is that when they use certain instruments to inflict damage, it wasn't just because, oh, this is the spot we planned and we were gonna do. It made sense in the context of the match.
Exactly. It flowed.
They were trying to inflict as much punishment on each other to get them to say, I quit, and they did it in ways where it seems mostly viable. Few spots here and there where I kind of went and went, but I was with the match at that point, so I really didn't give a fuck.
I was gonna say, by that time you were already invested.
Oh, sorry, Nick. Just and like that. My last thing, and that's the thing too. I'm with, like, if you can get me into it, if you get me into the match, that's the trick. That's all the trick is. Get me into the match, I'll go with you. You can get away with doing a few dumb things or two if I'm already there with you and already on that ride.
Yeah, for sure. No, listen, it was a really good match. They really had that great chemistry. And the fact that the titles changed hands and we're now looking forward, because I mean, the elephant in the room is the New Day and Motor City Machine Guns. So what's their status? What do we have going on with them?
I
If
mean, the machine guns will be in as soon as that. I think both of those teams will be in as soon as their 90 days are up. But
you're
I think
right,
Tony's gonna try to do it, debut him in a way the same way he did when he got all those big signings in 2021, where he kind of staggered him off. Like Punk, you knew
yeah,
Punk was coming in as soon as they announced Chicago, but then you still had to bring in Danielson and Cole, and you know what I mean, all those names at the same time.
yeah. But it's like, how do we? What's the plan going in? Like, and this is why I said I judge everything from the time this pay per view is over till the next pay per view. So I'll judge this next block after we get done with Forbidden Door. So now the question becomes, what's everybody doing, right? What's everybody's
Well,
direction?
I don't think so. The thing is, though, with those two tag teams, I don't think you immediately give them a title match push. So, and it's a good thing that your two biggest tag teams at the moment aren't really in the title feud at the moment. So you can. The issue is the real issue is what are you doing with the champions? And I
Yeah,
think for now you can just use them to face unestablished tag teams and try to get them over. I don't think right now for Edge and Christian you need them to have a rivalry because you're at the beginning of their nostalgia pop now as champions. You
yeah,
can ride that wave for at least 2 to 3 months of them just going around defending the belts, having good matches, getting some guys over. Maybe have an
yeah. You're right.
angle
You're
or
right.
two there to build some shit, but you can work some shit out while you're waiting. Or you can honestly get the Young Bucks and Edge and Christian match out the way. Cause it's not like
Yeah,
it's not, this isn't like the old AEW where they never ran rematches. Tony now at this point is gone the complete exact opposite way. He does rematches all the fucking time now at a ridiculous rate.
I mean, I think it's just the FTR stuff is done. I think we closed the book on that, so I wouldn't want to see another match between FTR and Cope and Christian. And I think with Beth showing up, you closed that story, you told it to a perfect end. As far as like the guys like New Day coming in, that's definitely going to be the match against the Young Bucks at All In. So you definitely don't need the titles for that. So I do agree. Is like, where do you go with Edge and Christian as champions now? And they've put so much time into this as like the really main uh storyline when it comes to tag teams. It's like you have to rise some tag teams up to get into that title picture. I mean, I would honestly, the first feud I would put them in would be against the freaking the Gates of Agony. You've been pushing them, but they haven't really been doing tag matches. So that's where I would go with that. Because then you could even have them do some 6-man tags with Jericho leading into that match. But yeah, I thought the match was great. I had no problem with it. Obviously, there were a couple of spots that there should have actually been blood, but there was none because of the rule. But this was the only match on the card that I felt needed. Like, if there were going to be color in it, this would be the match that would add to it. Every other match did not need color. So, I had no complaints. I thought it was great. You know, I was happy to see that pussy Dax tap out. I always knew he would. So that brought some joy for me.
Of course, it'd bring you some fucking joy.
The next match was Takesha against Okada. What 19 minutes and 1 second. As
Such a good
expected,
match.
Takesha won. Okada seemed like he woke up from his slumber
No, well,
and put
I'm
on a
gonna
really great
tell
match.
everyone what I told you earlier, Brandon. Tony walked up to that motherfucker and said, "Listen, I'll give you an extra $100,000 if you just put in a little bit of effort to get this fucking guy over. Just to drop the fucking belt and put in some goddamn effort. That someone had to give this motherfucker some
Yeah,
type of incentive or some type of steroid shot in his asshole." Because this is the second time I've ever seen him actually put in some fucking effort in the goddamn ring in an AEW banner. Like, and it was nice to see. Holy shit. And Takesha was the perfect guy to do it with. He got the
And you know
best
what's
out of him.
crazy? It's crazy. This is actually the first time Okada is in AEW without a title. He's had a title since like the first week he's been there.
The first time he's pinned too.
No, didn't he? Didn't
No,
he
it's the
lose
second time
in
he lost in the Continental.
No,
Yeah,
sorry.
he lost.
This is his first pinfall loss this year.
I was gonna say he lost to Speedball
And didn't he lose the finals to Moxley?
and Moxley.
That was all last year, though.
Yeah. But, right guy won. And then, the match was great. And then what was even better was the post match. Oh, let's not skip. They were telling the story how Don Callis was trying to play it down the middle, that the guys wouldn't do, something devastating to injure the other because he didn't want to lose his meal tickets.
Yeah.
So during the match, Okada went for a tombstone on the outside. Don Callis told him, no, you're going to hurt him. But then Takeshita ended up doing a brainbuster on the outside. And I guess that's what led to, the discourse with the Don Callis family post-match. And then we got the return of Kyle, I almost said O'Reilly, Kyle Fletcher. Kyle Fletcher came out. He kind of like smoothed things over. He hugged Takeshita, and then he gave him the Paul Orndorff clothesline. And then he gave him a brainbuster, and they basically excommunicated Takeshita from the Don Callis family. So it was an excellent angle post-match. It leads to the next story between Fletcher and Takeshita. And Takeshi's a full-fledged babyface. So I thought that post-match was just as good as the match itself.
Yeah, no. I say it was better than the match itself. I think it accomplished more. I think nobody was expecting Kyle to be there.
Nope.
And I think having him back gives AEW a slight, shot in the arm that I wouldn't say they need, but would kind of enjoy. So, yeah, no, it was very good. Let's see how they book Takeshita as a babyface because they sucked booking him as a fucking heel. And again, solid, great match. AEW right now at this point for me was bad 1,000. I was completely and utterly like shocked at how much enjoyment I was getting from this show. Because again, I'm so nitpicky usually when it comes to AEW, but the environment for this show, the crowd helped. The guys in there actually worked their ass off and did a lot of the right shit. I was entertained.
Yeah, no, they really with this match they really came off. I believe they made. I mean, he was already a star. I think they made a star to that night. It was just the match, the pace of the match. And like you said, I don't know who the fuck. Like TK must have had like, listen, I'll get you like a green card or something before you come in or whatnot. Like he just was like, that wasn't the normal Okada.
Oh, it wasn't definitely. Like I said, there had to
100%.
be some type of incentive some motherfucker gave him in the back. I've
100%. Yeah.
because this is the New Japan. I saw New Japan Okada. Like
I think
that's
Don Callis gave him I think Don Callis gave him a handy before the match.
It's buddy. If Don Callis can give him a handy every night and he's fucking wrestling, that'd be great. Because yeah, no, he didn't phone it in. That was, I mean, I don't think it was quite there yet to be New Japan Okada, but that was the performance.
That was the closest to New Japan Okada I've seen since he's come to AEW.
Well, I was gonna say like that's an Okada that I wish we got with Omega when Omega and Okada went at it, right? Like I wish we got this Okada then. But other than that, dude, like I said, pacing of the match was great. The crowd, dude, the crowd was into it, and that shouldn't be understated. The crowd for this show, it's one of those crowds where you wish you can bottle it up and take it everywhere we do. Just it was that good.
New York understood the assignment.
Yeah, 100%.
The atmosphere, the way the crowd was, the look of the arena. I felt bad for them because it was about 50 degrees and that thing is open. even though the roof was closed, they weren't getting rained on. It was still open, so they were sitting in 50-degree weather. But I even saw at points I saw some of the wrestlers you could see their breath as they were working. That's how cold it was. But New York definitely understood the assignment. I even tweeted after this match that it cleared WrestleMania, this pay-per-view.
Don't say that out loud now. You're
No,
gonna get
it's
people on
true
your
though.
case.
It's true. This show was better than both nights of WrestleMania put together because it was actually a full wrestling show to where WrestleMania was an advertising endorsement that just featured some wrestling.
Mhm.
And the fact that I said that after the second match. Now, if
100%.
I would have waited 20 minutes, I may not have tweeted that because then we went to Athena against Mina Shirakawa. I was not into this match. I mean,
It
I can't
wasn't
take
that bad. I
No,
wasn't
it. Wasn't a
expecting to.
bad. Okay, the match wasn't bad, but I can't get into Mina with the way she's been booked. I didn't think Mina was gonna win. I had no belief she was gonna win.
Oh, this was
You
definitely
know,
a foregone conclusion, but I'm saying as far
right?
as the match,
Athena, I like the psychology.
there you go.
I like
Okay,
the psychology Athena was playing.
at least no, I'm saying at least you gave me I'm with you 100% now because that's where I'm with.
Right.
I enjoyed the match. Athena knows how to do all the little things perfectly. I don't know why the fuck she's stuck in Ring of Honor purgatory.
Yeah.
She is possibly the best quote unquote worker they got, and she amazes me more every time I see her in AEW. Of why the fuck is she not a top woman in this roster? It blows my
Yep.
mind.
She came up for her yearly reminder that she does still work for the company. Every year around the Owen, she comes up for air and then she goes back down. But I like the way she was selling the knee. It gave you a chance that Mina might win, but again, based off, it was one of the matches that even though you knew who was going to win the match, you still questioned whether they would go for it. And
Yeah.
I knew Copeland and Christian were going to win, but you still felt there was a possibility they weren't. Same thing with there was still always that possibility that Okada was going to win. I had no doubts Athena was winning this match. And I think, and it just based on her booking. And, like I said, it was a TV match. To me, it wasn't a pay-per-view match. And I just didn't get into it. So that kind of that's where the minus in my A- started to come in.
I
I
gave all
think
my thoughts, Nick.
I think with this match, Athena and Mina understood the assignment, and they were they were put in a tough spot. Third match in after going up against opening with what they did and followed that, like they were at a hard task and they understood the assignment. So good on them for going out there and not phoning it in. I mean, you would never expect Athena to phone it in anyways, but good on them for kind of going for it. Um, I don't know. I don't know why. I don't know why Athena is still in Ring of Honor when we have so much real estate right now with a lack of star power with people being out. So I don't know why she's there. Maybe they're waiting till they get a TV deal or something. I have no idea. But hopefully
Listen,
Athena comes up soon.
Athena's not going to be the Jericho of ROH to get them a TV deal.
No,
She's
no,
not
no,
going
no.
to be the selling. She's not going to be the selling point of a TV deal. TK is basically, and I'm not going to go too far into this. He's basically doing Judgment Day with Athena and Billy Starks at this point. It's been 4 freaking years. Pull the trigger on the turn already. You keep teasing it. It's just like Judgment Day. It took forever for them to break up. Just get it done and get her on back on TV. This yearly thing, I
Yeah,
mean, it's just ridiculous.
yeah. They got to hurry up and get it going.
Then the next match we got was the Continental title, no time limit between Jon Moxley and Kyle O'Reilly. Again, for me, I didn't get into this match. I don't find either guy really that exciting. I mean, I don't hate John Moxley's like some people, DJ, but
Oh, shut
you
the fuck
know,
up. He
I
sucks.
just,
Deal with it.
I, you know, I just couldn't get into it. I mean, from what the wrestling was good, but it's I guess I'm not into either guy as a character, and for me personally, that's part of what I get into a match more for is having a connection to the character than
Yeah,
so much the moves. So like I said, it was a good match. It kind of got thrown together. I mean, it did have a story based on what happened before Kyle got injured and all that. But it does also feel that it was just thrown together last minute to get Moxley on the pay per view. Um, but I had no problem with who won. You know, it was fine.
I'll keep mine short and sweet. It was one of Moxley's better matches because he wasn't allowed to bleed and wasn't allowed to fight through the crowd and was forced to stay within the fucking barricade in the ring. So within those parameters, again, I think AEW should do more pay-per-views in New York because if they have to follow some fucking rules, it turns out they have one of the best pay-per-views they've ever had ever.
yeah,
So yeah, this match was kind of one of the more nothing burgers on this pay-per-view, but even it being one of the more lackluster matches on the show, it's still, I'd say, a 3.5 star match. It wasn't
yeah.
terrible, it didn't stand out, but it didn't offend people, and that crowd was entertained.
Yeah, I hear you guys. Timestamp the date on this shit. Because I don't want to hear anybody in any group chats or anywhere else tell me that I don't critique AEW. This is fucking pointless. This didn't need to be here. I wasted my life watching this match. I I, I said it from the moment this was announced. If Jay White does not come out at the end of this match, or they do not do anything to tease Jay White, this is a fucking waste of time. And sure enough, they did absolutely nothing to tease Jay White. It was just there. This could have easily been main event of fucking Dynamite. So we have a 3-hour Dynamite tonight or on Wednesday. This could have been on the 3-hour Dynamite. This didn't need to be on the show.
And another thing I hate that they do, they did a thing. They had a match that went to time limit, and then you go no time limit, but you still go under the 20 minutes. So again, what was the point of no time limit if you're still within the time limit of the Continental rules? It's like you added a stipulation just to add the stipulation. So, you were hoping more people would be interested in the match. So that's my one small critique when it comes to that.
Well, like I said, this you didn't need this on. Like, would your enjoyment of the show been effective if this match wasn't here? No.
No,
So
I
this,
might have
this
given it that might have taken that minus away and given it a straight A.
so there you go, right? Like this did nothing to enhance the overall show in the grand scheme of things. So we didn't need this to be here. Especially when you started a feud, let it go on. Obviously stuff happens and people are out for whatever reason. So obviously they had to cut the story. But at that point, if you're cutting the story so far along, what's the sense in picking it back up? Right? So
Plus, the pay per view would have ended before midnight, and that wouldn't have been a bad thing.
no, no. Like I said, yeah, this just didn't need to be here.
All right. The next match was the opening round of the men's Owen. Will Ospreay beat Samoa Joe 13 minutes 52 seconds. Ospreay is so goddamn over. That reaction he got when he came out from New York was insane. How this guy's not winning you don't see him winning the title in London is beyond me.
Yes, yeah.
But you saw some bits of
Hold on. Before you go on, Nick, what have I told you habitually since last year? When was the time
Well,
to
you
put
told
the
me a
belt
lot.
on Ospreay?
You told me you've been telling me a lot of things. Oh
Like,
yeah, 2 years ago for sure.
and what other time did I say they would have to do it?
Well, we both said
Now
they'd
or
have to
never.
do it now. Yeah, well, 100%. Now or never.
Now or fucking never.
Yep.
So I'm it, he's over as fuck. That's why this match was over as fuck. Samoa Joe was the perfect guy to put him in with because Samoa Joe can take a loss to Ospreay and it doesn't hurt him, and he's a solid veteran and a big guy who can make Ospreay even become a bigger babyface while working with him. So to keep this short and sweet and simple, this was 4.5 stars, damn near perfect. The only thing I could say that would have made this shit a little better is if it was maybe like 2 minutes longer. I felt like this went a little too quick, but it was still a good ass match.
I
And I
like
like
that you. I'm sorry. One sec, Nick.
no, no,
I
no, no,
like
go,
that
go.
you saw. You saw the Death Riders rubbing off on him. He attacked
I was
Samoa
gonna
Joe
say
before
that.
the bell.
I
Yeah,
was gonna
he
say that.
attacked Joe before the bell. You know, he was trying more submission moves. He was trying to be a little more grounded. So, I like that they're using the Death Rider story to tell how Osprey is changing his style to protect his neck. And I don't mean
Yes.
that in the storyline way, but in his actual survival to have a longer career way.
Yeah. No,
So
no.
I,
They
I like
definitely.
I like that they're adding that to a story, you know. And real quick back on the Death Riders, I guess they're baby faces again because we got handshakes at the end of with Kyle O'Reilly.
Who the
So
fuck knows?
but yeah, and then Samoa Joe bowed. He showed respect.
Yeah,
You
that was
know,
nice.
and I also like the again little things. Osprey came out. He's wearing mostly black. It's kind of like you could tell it's the Death Riders are having that influence. So that's the little bits of storytelling for me personally that I get into because I like those little nuances and those little things that aren't just straight out in your face.
Yeah, no, they definitely. You definitely saw the heel tendencies that they were doing with the attack in the beginning. Yeah, it was great. There's nothing really to complain about.
And despite Osprey's choices of who he spends time with, I think he is the top guy in AEW right now and the best wrestler they have right now. I think he has surpassed Kenny Omega because Omega is getting to that twilight of his career with all the injuries.
Yeah,
So, if you don't put the title on Osprey in London, you might as well just let him go back to Japan or go to WWE, go wherever, because what are we doing? It's almost like, you're gonna Jay White him, and you're just gonna keep dangling it, but you're not gonna freaking let it finally, get to the point where we have to get it.
but at the same time, I don't want you to just put the title on him. Make him work for it. Give me something. We're here to tell week to week stories. We're here to tell week to week television. Give me a reason. Tell me something fun. Give me something good that I can be like, yo, that's sick. They've already done it with the Death Rider story. Like, this is interesting. They're building up him as a character. They're building on him. So take it home. Give me something good.
But that's gonna actually have to wait till after the Owen, because then you got to, he's got to win the Owen because then he's the number one contender.
But what
Then
if
from
he?
there, go ahead.
No, go ahead. No,
What
no.
if
I
he?
was gonna say, but
What
what if he doesn't win the Owen? Again, tell
then
me a
how?
story.
But then then you can't get him into the title match.
What's the rumored AEW pay per view in July?
The redemption. But what? So you're gonna have, let's say for arguments, you're gonna have Swerve win it, and then you're gonna have him put that number one contendership up again, like he did with Kenny, just to lose it.
Oh,
You're basically
again,
repeating the story.
but again, that's the story with Kenny is he wants the story with Kenny was Swerve wanted power. Well, now you can tell the story of what happens when Swerve has that power. which is the number one contendership. You own, like, you know what I mean? So you can use a,
I get
a
where you're going with that. I get where you're going with that. You give Swerve the power, and then but it just seems to me that you're just repeating the story that you did with Kenny just a couple of months ago to lead into Dynasty, where and then Swerve's going to lose the number one contendership again. But then also on the flip side, everyone's expecting Osprey to just win the Owen, so it would be a swerve, no pun intended, for Swerve to win the Owen.
that
You know,
and that's what I mean. Give me a story. Give me captivating. We talked about it on the Simply Reliable Studios. We talked about it on Shenanigans. Nothing nowadays. I don't care if you're AEW, you're WWE, TNA, anybody. Nothing nowadays is captivating television. Nothing nowadays is appointment television. Tony has a chance to give us appointment television. So tell us a fucking story. Prove the doubters wrong.
now
Everybody says Tony can't tell. While AEW does tell stories, Tony can't tell good stories. Tell me a good story. Give me television week to week that makes me want to sit down and watch it. So far, he's done a good job with the Death Rider stuff. Keep going.
who do you want to see? Who do you want to see the champion walking into All In?
What garners a bigger match, MJF and Osprey or Omega Osprey?
The better in-ring match will be against Omega. The better story is going to be against Max.
Give me Max.
But they also teased it after Dynasty, when both Omega and Osprey lost their matches, and they had that backstage.
Yep. Yeah.
So honestly, I think it's going to be Omega. I think Omega's going to win the title at Redemption. To be honest with you,
DJ?
DJ, you there?
Yeah, no, my bad. I was too busy replying to the pedo
Yeah,
virgin.
yeah. I saw.
I, I've been going at it. Sorry, I've been over here
Yeah.
being the keyboard warrior.
Oh
So
god.
did you hear what we were talking about?
Yeah, pretty much what Osprey and shit, and I really didn't care because everything's a foregone conclusion.
But we were discussing All In, and who would you think would be? Which would you want to see? Who would you want to see? Osprey against Omega or Osprey against MJF?
We've talked about this I don't know how many times. MJF's the bigger money match. Omega is just on people's mind because they like the Omega Osprey fucking Meltzer jerk off sesh possibility. But if you're talking about what's gonna get people in the fucking door, it's MJF.
And they definitely need to move tickets. So, but the next match was the next men's tournament quarterfinal match. It was Swerve Strickland against Bandito. Great match. It went 15 minutes, 15 seconds. I don't think anyone doubted that Swerve was winning.
No.
But, that's all there really was to it. It was a great, really good match.
Yeah, no. It was actually a really good match. They really did well out there, and Bandito is the best luchador going today. So
Don't let Leo hear you say that.
you
But
you can't at me on that, dude. You can't at me
yeah,
on that.
I
Like,
also think the problem on the right on that bracket is I think it's too obvious also where they're going with it, because the next match underneath is Claudio and Brody Lee.
mhm.
So I think you're going to get a Brody Lee rematch with Swerve. Since he beat Bandito, then he's going to beat Brody to get to Osprey. So I feel I'd be very surprised if somehow it ends up being Claudio and Osprey in the finals.
DJ.
No, I'm pretty
I
much there. Swerve and Osprey in the finals. Swerve has to lose. I think it's going to be. I think the men's side is pretty much a foregone conclusion based on how they built the brackets to where the women's is kind of still up in the air.
um I don't know. With the women's one, with the men's, you guys say it's. I don't see it that way. Like I can see Claudio winning, and I can see John saying that this is a test. Go
Okay,
up
so
against Claudio.
Nick, I need you to do me a favor. I need you to DM me a PO box. Well, I'm gonna DM me a DM you a PO box, right? And you're gonna ship me the weed you smoked to make you think Claudio's winning, because there's no fucking way he's winning. No, based on the booking and based how he's been presented, he was good for a win, maybe two. He'll do a job in the quarterfinals or not quarterfinals, the semifinals or whatever the fuck it match is before the finals. And
Yeah,
yeah,
we'll see. We'll see. I just think there's a story there, right? I just think that you can still play off this Death Rider thing, um, with Claudio in there. Um, but I mean, yeah, I've always said it. Me and you, I think, are in the same camp. This is Osprey's tournament to lose. He needs to win this. He needs to be at all in. He needs to be in the main event. There are no ifs, ands, or buts. If he's not winning the title this year at all in, it's creative malpractice.
All right. Next, we got to the four-way women's match. Thekla beat Sheeta, Jamie Hayter, Chris Statlander, 13 minutes, 59 seconds. I really didn't have any doubts in my mind about, this. It was a fine four-way. It seemed like the bigger story was telling about Sheeta and Statlander. Um, but yeah, right person won. I think Mercedes is going to end up being that wild card. I think it's going to end up being Mercedes and Thekla at All In. So, yeah, the only question is, what do you do with Thekla to get to All In? Like, you need some sort of meat on the bone. And I don't know who else there is at this point.
Um, I'm going to disagree with you. If it was Mercedes in the wild card, I would have debuted. You would debut Mercedes at Double or Nothing. I don't think it's Mercedes. I don't think so. Um, and the reason why I don't think so, and I'm not gonna, I don't, I never, I don't, I haven't heard this from anybody. I'm just going off of what I think. I think this bitch is preggers because we haven't seen the Beast Mortos either.
Well, I think they broke up. That's why Mordos lost his push. But that's he
Now
was getting main events when they were together, and then I
I don't
know.
know,
I
man.
saw those pictures. I saw those pictures last week bouncing around that it looked like she might have had a bump. I know. Saw people were saying, but is that also what they were saying about Tony Storm and why she's out? And we never found out why. So
But I don't think we'll ever find out, right?
okay, so
Um,
so let's say it's not Mercedes. Who would the wild card be?
um, well, she'd be facing Alex Windsor, so you might want to do a heel. Anybody that we know that, I mean, Camille, but even then, Camille, I don't know. Um,
Would that
you
not be completely disappointing?
no, I think at this point, there is really only two names that you can slot in there that nobody would be disappointed in. One, it'd be Tony Sorb, or sorry, three names realistically. It'd be Tony. That's not Tony. Mercedes, but I don't think that's Mercedes. Other than that, it'd be the Doctor. But I mean, is Brit in uh Guantanamo Bay? Maybe. I just think if it's anybody, any big name like Mercedes, you debut that at Double or Nothing. But the fact that they pulled the match to have it go, I mean, probably just on a random dynamite, because I don't see anywhere else it's going. It's going to be Who knows? It probably be fucking Danny Luna for all we know.
I
Right?
mean, that's true. It will definitely be a debut or a return. I don't think it's gonna be like Camille, who just came back. You know, Britt. If you bring Britt back just to lose the match, that's like, you know, you're doing it just to shut people up.
Yeah. I
So,
don't
you
know.
know, so
Remember, we saw last year in the Owen, Josh Alexander came out, right? He was the wild card in that. So I mean, I can see Danny Luna being the wild card.
DJ, who do you think might be the wild card in the women's division?
If it's not Mercedes, I don't give a shit. It's that simple. Well, it has to be Mercedes because who the fuck else anyone's gonna give a fuck about? Tony Storm's said to be out for 9 months, so can't be her. So it has to be Mercedes. Or they break the
I mean,
glass and bring in Britt Baker, but they'll never do that.
That's what I mean, right? Like, I don't. The fact that you're putting this on a Dynamite, I don't. Now, if they put it on this Wednesday, if that wild card match is on this Wednesday, because this Wednesday's a 3-hour Dynamite, I could see it being a big name to get like a pop, like a Brit. But I mean, yeah, who else? Like, is there anybody that was released that's coming off of their 90 days? I think the only one would be Danny Luna. And I mean,
yeah,
Danny Luna
but
versus Alex Windsor. Yeah, I can see that being the case.
you would, if you're going to do it on, let's say, this Wednesday, you want to pop that rating, so you want to bring Mercedes in to pop the rating as opposed to just on a pay-per-view. So
Yeah,
I could see them using it for a TV, especially if you're going to announce it. You know, TK announces these matches prior on social media. So if he, not that he's going to announce that it's Mercedes, but if you're going to play on the intrigue of the wild card, you know, people are going to want to see who that wild card is, and then you bring Mercedes back. It's better to do that on TV than blowing your load on a pay per view that already people have already paid for.
I think at this point it can be anybody, and people will be disappointed. So really,
But then we got to the Stadium Stampede match.
Skip!
Team Jericho against
Skip!
Team
okay.
Ricochet.
I need to understand this. Why are you
This
so against this match?
wait, let me just get
It's
to it.
not a match. It's
It
not
was
a
the
match.
longest.
It's 14 motherfuckers who are going out to jack off and play fight with each other in a fucking arena.
Stop.
This was stupid. This was not worth my time. I'm not going to validate it, giving it any type of critique because it's not a wrestling match. And I'm good. I didn't count this against the really good pay-per-view that was around it. So skip.
Well,
This
it
was
went
right.
31 minutes, 10 seconds. The baby faces won. There was a lot of shenanigans. I don't want to hear anyone say that AEW is not also sports entertainment, because there was a lot of sports entertainment elements in this.
Hold on. Also, real quick, I want to preface this too. Brandon, did we not do a thing earlier where I prefaced that I did not watch the match and I was able to predict at least 3 or 4 spots in that fucking match without seeing a goddamn thing?
Yes, you did.
Okay, so I just want to point out and validate that this was highly predictable, highly stupid, and just, again, 14 motherfuckers going out to jack off.
Wow, but there was no bleeding in this. I'm shocked that you hate it that much. This is
I can't hate. No, first off, I can't hate something that I didn't watch, but this was not worth my fucking time. I'm sorry.
There was food fights. There was Luchasaurus dressed as a woman. There
Okay,
was
you see, Nick, do you see now why I didn't watch that shit? You think I would have enjoyed this pay-per-view and gave it a fucking A if I seen that bullshit? If I took a half hour away from my life to watch that shit?
wow. Okay.
there was a tug of war with Kenny Omega inside an abdominal stretch.
Wow,
There was
okay.
a Leo Rush cameo. There was a badly placed pre-tape stunt in the back that all of a sudden the competitors were in front of the crowd in 3 seconds. There was a 7-man super kick party, and Jericho got the pin on. Which one was that? Was that one of the demand? Not
Was it the
Ricochet.
big one or the small one?
Bishop Khan.
Bishop Khan with the lion salt. So I guess we're not done with that story just yet. But yeah.
I'm just let's just get this over with. We're gonna get this match over with. Our critiques of it and everything with one simple statement: was it good? Yes or no? No. As someone who didn't
Wow.
watch it, I'm just gonna say no. Probably not. I would have gotten pissed off.
See,
I want
and
to ask Nick one thing. Are they doing the dogs dirty? Is Tony doing the dogs dirty with the booking?
they've done them dirty since the moment they enter. Don't at me on that. Don't question me. These motherfuckers should have been killers, and they should have been going after the trio titles, and they should have had a long reign with the trio titles. I don't know what the fuck we're doing. Don't at me on that. Don't question me. It's fucking horseshit.
This is why I kind of had a problem with some of the people who were in this match. You know, you had Andrade in a number one contenders match last month, but now we have him in this bullshit. With Luchasaurus in a wig trying to kiss him. I mean, he's having a.
I was gonna say,
Go ahead,
are
DJ.
we really gonna sit here and critique this stupid shit like they're gonna learn their lesson or they're gonna do any better from this? It is what it is. It's a yearly occurrence. It's a bi-yearly occurrence because there's still anarchy in arena at some point. And yeah, no, this isn't worth our critique or worth our time. It was the same shit they normally do all the fucking time every year. They just add more people. Don't be shocked next year if it's 10v10. Next match.
Wow.
And then we had the main event.
No, hold on. We can't skip this. Hold on. Whoa.
Go ahead.
I'm so shocked that you hated it because I know your feelings on plunder and garbage matches. And this, while it was a chaotic match, because of the restrictions, it wasn't that much plunder and blood. So I'm taking it back by the fact that you didn't like this match or you didn't even watch it.
Have you ever heard the old adage, Nick? Less is more. No one in this fucking match follows that adage. So why the fuck would I watch it? Again, it's not because it was just because it was lack of garbage. I should have gave it more of a pass. No, it was going to be the same thing. Again, I was able to predict 4 spots without ever seeing this fucking thing. So I knew what I was getting and what was coming because they've done this shit repeatedly every year, except they've added more people. It's like in a match stipulation, this is the equivalent of Forbidden Door, where you know it's coming, you're never excited for it, you're just here for it, and you're waiting for it to go by. Okay? It's like Sex and Missionary. Next match.
Okay.
Well, then we got to the main event. MJF. The world is right again. Everything's balanced as all things should be. MJF beat Darby Allin to win back the AEW World Title. Match went 24 minutes, 1 second. And thank God that experiment is over.
I just wish they gave Darby more. The only thing I'm going to say about this was solid match. Great job to see MJF back into form. And Darby, I feel like they should have gave Darby more of an out. But with the afterbirth, it was everything kind of made more sense. It was justified. For once in AEW, they did a go home angle, or you feel me? Not a go home angle, but a cliffhanger angle perfectly. And seeing Kevin Knight versus Darby is something new and interesting. And Darby has the stink of being a former world champion on him, so you might as well try to rub some of that stink on the Kevin Knight if you want to make some new up and coming homegrown main eventers. So the match was good. MJF beat him with a fucking Avalanche Tombstone in a headlock takeover. So callbacks. And yeah, the world is right again. That detour was stupid. Let's never do that again. Let's keep the belt on MJF all the way to All In, and hopefully, barring any injuries, we have no more swerves. No pun intended.
I thought that I found it funny that people were complaining that, after the headlock, that after the tombstone, he had to do the headlock takeover. And it's like, then you're not paying attention. That's literally been the finish to every match they've had together. Every match is finished that way. So, that's the one thing you're complaining about. The match is fine. You got the big Darby bump. He went off the Tron, threw MJF through the table. He busted his head open. Thank God MJF won. I've been very vocal about how this has been the worst thing and has completely killed the momentum. And I said if they were not going to put the title back on MJF, I was going to take a break from spending my time every Wednesday. So
No, I hear you guys. I think the match was a great way to end the show. Ended the show on the high note. We knew that, like you guys said, we kind of knew and kind of figured Darby uh wasn't having a long run with it. So I'm glad that they kind of got it off of him. And Triple B is back. So let's see now, what does he do? Again, like we say all the time, what's the follow up? Where are we going with this? What are you going to do now that's different than before, right? So hopefully they have a plan. According to the dirt sheets, there are plans, right? So let's see what they do.
and then obviously we got that angle at the end, the shock that Kevin Knight turned heel on Darby. So now the question is, how do they follow up with Kevin Knight?
And I like that. I like how they they really they left you with something to get you hooked to watch on Wednesday. So how are they? Again, it's all in the follow up. That's what's key, and that's what some AEW fans don't understand. It's all in the follow up. We're here to tell week to week television. Yes, wrestling is great. I I'm all for having the show be very wrestling heavy, but you need stuff to hook me in week to week. I'm not saying I need bloodline level storyline, but I need something. And with this angle that they shot, this is something. So again, let's see what they do.
And that's been the biggest fault to AEW, is they don't follow up on these pay-per-views with the show after. So, now might be one of the first times they have an actual cliffhanger to hook you. So I'm really hoping that, we're going to have a good show.
Well, you got
It's just, I don't know why we have another 3 hour. I guess it's got to do with the playoffs.
probably.
I don't know why there's no, collision this coming Saturday, but I didn't even realize they're actually in Philly this Wednesday. So, but yeah, that was your entire review of Saturday night's main event and your review of Double or Nothing. DJ, you got anything else to add?
I think that's a no.
All right, says no. Nick, thanks for coming on, helping us with your expertise as the resident sicko. I
Yep,
do
AEW is
appreciate
the
it.
best. AEW is the best. They can't do no wrong. I know, I'm trying to think of the other. AEW the best, WWE the worst. Fuck the Fed. Anything else I'm missing? No, I think I'm good.
But yeah, we will be back this coming Saturday for our Clash in Italy preview, and then we will also be, I believe, post Clash. I'm sorry, I'm wrong. Our schedule, we're going to be live right after Clash in Italy, we're going to be recording our show for immediate reactions on Sunday evening. So follow us on all our socials. Thanks everyone for joining in, and we will see you soon.